There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with another tag. I'm late to the party for this tag. This is the It's All Relative book tag, created by AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. Their channel is one that's somewhat new to me, and I'm really enjoying what I see. They have lots of interesting stuff, including a recent video they talked about a literary periodical that they are editing, co-editor or something, and held it up. It looks fabulous. I think I have to subscribe. Anyway, they've created this tag, and it's a Sean tag. Some people don't like tags where you have to pull books off the shelf and to answer the prompts. I love them. I stopped making them because none of my friends like doing them. So I just don't make them myself anymore. But whenever I see one, especially one that's this good, I'm in there like a dirty shirt, even though I'm late to the party, like I said. So I actually sought AJ out via Instagram and asked them, can I do it? And they said yes, so here we go. Thanks for the tag. I had to fish for it, but I got tagged. The first is number 1, Mamma Mia. Recommend a book with a mother character that is pivotal to the story, and there is no question but that I would choose one of the very best novels and most important novels written in 2021, published in 2021, Torrey Peters' Detransition Baby, which is about motherhood, and it makes any other book that centers thematically on motherhood, you can throw it out into the trash. This is the one you must read. I think I have talked about it enough on my channel, and everybody's been talking about it on BookTube. I don't need to say too much, but it is about trans women and their desire to be mothers. I think that's all I need to say. It is a book that touched me deeply, opened my eyes, and I will be talking about every third video until I die at the age of 90. Number 2, Papa Don't Preach, a book with a father character you like or despise. Well, when I was selecting, I thought it's too easy to choose a book with a villainous father, because we're talking about men and male characters, and most of them are villainous, so let's get that out of the way. But that would be boring, I think, and when I encounter villainous male characters in my fiction, I typically bail, because it's just, I want nuance. And so here's one that it qualifies for this prompt, hands down, and that is the Egyptian novel Palace Walk by Naguib Mahfouz, part 1 of his Cairo trilogy, and it is translated from the Arabic by William Maynard Hutchins and Olive Kenny. I love this novel so much. I read it earlier this year, and it is about a cloistered family in Cairo around World War I, if I remember correctly, where the wife and the adult daughters, who are coming to be of marriageable age, are not allowed to leave the house, and they are kept under the thumb of their tyrannical father. But he emerges as a great character, and despite the hateful things that he said and did and his ridiculously misogynistic opinions, I was fascinated by him. So I loved this novel because he is free to go out gallivanting after work every night, and so he comes home drunk at midnight or 2 a.m. and his poor wife is expected to help him off with his clothes and bathe his feet and stuff and feed him his dinner. But she's not ever allowed to go out of the house. But at a certain point, she does go out of the house, and it's one of the most dramatic scenes in all of literature when she does. Oh, this is a fascinating novel about a really fascinating tyrannical father. I recommend it extremely highly. Number 3, Brothers and Sisters, a book with an interesting sibling relationship. I'm laughing because I have the best answer for this ever. Rosamund Lehmann's novel, The Echoing Grove, which I read. Did I read it at the end of last year or the beginning of this year? I think I read it at the end of last year. Rosamund Lehmann is a British novelist, even though her name sounds German. This was published in 1953, if I'm not mistaken, and it is about 2 sisters that have a falling out that lasts for many, many years because they were in love with the same man. It's much more scandalous than that. And I'm not going to tell you. You got to read the book. Now, her writing style is not for everybody, and she has purposefully plotted it to be as confusing as all get out with point of view and sequencing, and I loved it. I didn't pretend to understand everything, but I understood enough that I absolutely loved it. I will link to my full review because I linked to an academic article, which to me, usually you couldn't pay me to read an academic article about a work of literature. But I did read this one, and this is one of those fabulous exceptions where this professor, this scholar, puts the story back in chronological order. And I didn't read it until I'd finished the book, but I thought, oh, that's really valuable. And I suppose it's just this scholar's hypothetical rearranging of it in chronological order. It could be, other people might disagree with that, but I put it as a link in my review. I don't suggest people read that while they're reading the book or before they read the book, but it will untie some things that maybe you couldn't untie, and it really helped me to appreciate what a masterpiece this novel, The Echoing Grove, was. But yes, sibling, fascinating sisters, oh my god. And there's a thing about a rat in the first opening chapter where they meet for the first time after many years of estrangement, where a rat dies. Unforgettable. Number 4, It's Been 84 Years. A book you like that is multi-generational or chronicles a character's-whole life. So I'm going to go with the multi-generational, even though this is not a saga. I love sagas, but I couldn't think of anyone that umpteen people haven't talked about, or, that was all that recent for me. So I'm going with a deceptively short Rhodesian novel in that it was published before Zimbabwe came into existence. I guess we should call it a Zimbabwean novel. And that is Waiting for the Rain by Charles Mungoshi. I love this. 5-star read. It was published in 1975, and it is about grandparents, parents, and children, the 3 generations of where the grandparents and the parents live very traditional lives in colonial Rhodesia, and the one son is going off to study abroad, and he is following a colonial modern path. And it's his goodbye with his very traditional family as he leaves to start a very non-traditional life. And I thought the characterization and the descriptions of the lifestyle of this family and all the family conflicts and stuff, it was so psychologically fascinating that I want to read absolutely everything else that Charles Mungoshi wrote. Number 5, You Complete Me. A book with an interesting marriage as a central element to the story. And I have chosen one that portrays in a really fascinating way several interesting marriages, and that is Christos Tsiolkas' The Slap, an Australian writer, and this novel was published in 2008. I love this. Tsiolkas is a gay Greek-Australian writer, and boy, he writes about relationships, marriages, and all kinds of very controversial issues in the most vivid, in-your-face way. I was completely immersed in this novel. So the title comes from, there's a neighborhood barbecue, and there's a kid that is just one of the worst behaved little boys and mollycoddled by his parents. And we've all seen this. We've all been in these situations where we'd love to slap the kid and slap the parents for being so stupid and letting their kid act like this without any discipline. And somebody at the party does slap the boy, and then all hell breaks loose. And then we get the portrait of all of the marriages, all of the friendships, all of the relationships. But the marriages, I think, are really deeply dissected and portrayed in a way that's narratively propulsive. I thought this was incredible. Number 6, Picture It, Sicily. I'm not sure where that prompt comes from. It's probably something I'm too old to catch the reference to, but a book with an interesting elder character, i.e. a grandparent, great-grandparent, etc. So I'm going with the grandmother in Bernardine Evaristo's Booker Prize-winning Girl, Woman, Other. There is a transgender character who's, I think it's her great-grandmother, who was a farmer in rural UK, and she was one of the most fascinating characters in the whole book, and she was so loving, and she couldn't quite understand her transgender great-granddaughter. I think it was a great-granddaughter, not a granddaughter. And she kept getting the pronouns wrong, but she was so accepting and loving, and her life story had the longest sweep because she was so old, and we get so many details about her life. It was just a really rich character in this novel. I love novels about old people, and I'm going with this one, but I could probably talk for 30 more minutes about all the other elderly characters in fiction that I have loved. Well, hello there, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. It's a couple weeks later after I filmed the video, and I realized as I was editing it, I forgot prompt number 7, Friends with Benefits. Sean the Book Maniac forgetting about friends with benefits is like pizzeria forgetting about cheese. But let's carry on. I need a shave, but you know, just let's get it done, Sean. Let's get it done. Friends with Friends with Benefits. A book with a found family, or friends as family element. This is one of my favorite, what do you call it? What do the young people call it? A trope? My favorite trope? No! My favorite themes, my favorite constellation of characters in my literary fiction. So, can't believe I forgot it. Anyway, in terms of recent reading, one of the best books I've read along these lines recently is Cantoras by Carolina de Robertis, a novel written in English, set in Uruguay, about a constellation of Cantoras was a Spanish word that meant lesbians, I believe, or queer people. I can't remember if it meant specifically lesbians or queer people, but anyway, this is about a group of lesbians. They were friends, they were lovers, they were ex-lovers. The relationships dynamics changed radically, dramatically, and erotically over 20 or maybe even 30 years, and what a powerful novel about Eros and Agape. I loved it with all my heart. I recommend it to you passionately. I'm finally going to film my full review, maybe this weekend, but yes, it's the perfect answer. And here's a controversial answer for prompt number 8. I Think We're Alone Now. A book with a character who was lost, left behind, or abandoned. Can also be a story with an orphaned or adopted character. So I am going with the recent, i.e. it was published just a few months before its subject died at the age of 99, the biography of Prince Philip, the Duke, by Lloyd, which I read. I started reading it the day that Prince Philip died. So, if you can hold your nose if you don't like the royals, that's fine, I'm not here to debate you, but it was a fascinating narrative about Prince Philip's childhood, because his, yes, he was privileged, he didn't starve, he didn't have he didn't have a Dickensian childhood, but his mother was institutionalized, I think, and Young was one of her doctors, but his father, a Greek prince, a Danish extraction, but a Greek prince, a member of the Greek royal family, really didn't give a crap about what happened to Philip. So Philip was just kind of going back and forth between great aunts and a grandmother, and he never really had a home and didn't see either one of his parents for a decade, and that really shaped his personality in a way that I think is really well told in the biography. So his early life, his whole life really, but his early life was fascinating, and it did make me, because he wasn't a particularly lovable member of the British royal family, but boy, this biography really gave quite a bit of nuance to how those childhood experiences. And like I say, this is not a Dickensian story, and I don't expect that a lot of readers would feel much sympathy for him, but I certainly did, and I thought it was an excellent biography. And finally, here's another controversial one. That's why I wanted to make this tag. I have a bunch of controversial answers. Number 9, Fur Baby. Can you guess already what my answer is going to be? A book where a pet or animal is a part of the family and or plays an important role in the book. So I guess this is pet and or important role, and that is the Canadian classic 1976 novella Bear by Marian Engel. I have done a whole video discussion with 2 learned readers, one an English professor, Dorian Stuber, who has written about this, and the Australian book blogger James, and the 3 of us had a Zoom chat about it, which was really fun. And I had all my life never wanted to read a book because I know it's about a bear that has sex with a woman, and it's like, no, I don't want to read that. But I finally did, just because you can watch the video. But this is I think it's my favorite work of Canadian fiction. It is excellent. If you don't believe me, go watch the video. Loved it. So that is the It's All Relative book tag. And I think this tag has been around a lot. So I'm going to do a quick look to see who's done it. Okay, lots of people have done it, but not so many people that in my corner of BookTube. So I'm going to go to my comment section. Now that I've checked, I'm going to choose Leo Bancroft. I didn't see his name, so if you haven't done this, Leo, you are tagged. Karen of Run Right Reads. Brian of Bookish, I didn't see that you had done it. Now, lots of these people may have done it, and it just didn't come up in my search. Roz of Scally-Dandling About the Books, I'm going to be embarrassed, but I did a search on YouTube, and these people didn't come up on the search, so I don't think that Nell and Scott of Gunpowder Fiction and Plot have done it. Ange of Ange's Book Chatter, and a new-to-me channel that I haven't even really had a chance to check out yet, but I have subscribed, Fraser Simons of Springboard Thought. If you haven't, you're tagged by me. Thanks for watching.